Hi, everybody. We've had our first sticky snow occur here in Ottawa. I'm sure it may have happened elsewhere as well. There are a few questions, and here's one from Todd in the Toronto area. Here's a version of, let's get to the question. Can you elaborate on the relationship between the intellect and higher states or spirit? Does the intellect tend to get in the way, or is it helpful? This is a question that keeps coming up. And absolutely, I can certainly imagine why it would. Our whole engagement with figuring things out in our world is related to our mental acuity, so to speak, or the willingness that we have to engage with a search for whatever it is for something beyond whatever it is that we believe has to be true, and also at the same time we're quite comfortable with the idea that we already know something as valuable and true. So the intellect is part of our construct. We've started building it from the beginning of our engagement with life, and it has flowered as a word and certainly as activity in relationship to how we function here in this world. But there's a dilemma. Before we get into what occurs with it, we have to make sense of how it develops. And from my perspective, and you don't have to agree with this is from my perspective, it's important that you try and think things through. From my perspective, the emotional disposition cultivates and stimulates a will towards that cultivation of a framework where we can allow ourselves to begin to make sense of things. It is a sense of things, not a final sense of things, but we often misrepresent that sense of things as a final answer. And this happens in everybody's life, of course. You defend exactly what you think has to be true, and it's not necessarily true at all. But it's a version of a truth that feels comforting to an individual in how they engage with life and how they believe they want to engage with life. This is fundamental in everyone. 8.5 billion, or maybe not quite that much, but real close, people on the planet, and everyone's doing the same thing. So our emotional disposition, or let's say our intensity to make sense, that we use to make sense of things, we often call our intellect, our thinking process. But as we garner our framework together, this way of seeing the world, whatever it is, we automatically are involved also with a reflexive response that really encompasses the whole of our species. It's like a defensive engagement with what we come up with. And so I usually talk about this as an emotional construct, this intellect. And we need to have it that way because we start putting things together. One level on another level on another level, searching for an option that might be a little bit more helpful than the one we've already come up with. I like to say that we all do that, but we don't all necessarily do that at all. But it occurs in our lives. When we're engaging with an idea that we come up with, the way we engage with life often moves to supersede the last idea. In other words, there is something within us, whether we like the idea or not, that from time to time allows us to move forward beyond what we understood to be true before. Or the other option in that willful aspect that we have is that we remain glued to how we thought previously. I think both of those sometimes are quite active in all of our humanity. And we somehow don't want to move out of it from time to time, because it allows us to have a kind of sense of comfort internally for the purpose of considering ourselves as valuable. That goes deeper into our understanding. Basically, we've all been children and considered valuable to some degree, and then not valuable many times. And as we have been trained in our construction of a personality to recognize that we need to protect this form or framework that we call personal. Our schools do this for us. Our parents attempt to do this in a multitude of different ways. And our parents, by the way, had done the same thing. They have a framework, and they engage with that framework as kind of very valuable. And they'll either move past it during their lifetime, they'll keep growing, or they will maintain how things should be. And they have every right to do so. And it's kind of part of our continual growth in our species. This is what we do. So, when we're engaging with the thing that we call intellect, we usually consider it to be something that we can figure out faster than another person. Reflexively engaging becomes a dominant feature in our world. If you come up with an answer faster than somebody else, apparently you're smarter. But it is an emotional reflexive mind, which means you can train it to come up with something fast, very quickly, but your first answer becomes then what you think. And in fact, if you could pause a bit and slow things down, you could even ask the question about an answer you come up with, whether you think it might be true or not. Now, you're trained to think it is, but it's not necessarily true. However, you will protect the idea of having it true because you're trained to do so by how we have engaged with the world, and it's fine. Later on, you'll come up with a different answer. Maybe. And if you do, that's part of your reconsideration process, if you have one that can be featured in your life. Then, or if you're open to allowing yourself to consider whether that how you think might be as valuable as how you want it to be. Okay, now the question is, does it interfere? Does this movement of engagement with this process of a thing called intellect, because we all automatically think we have one of those things. And I think you could probably say, yes, you have one of those emotional, intellectual processes, frameworks that you've cultivated so that you can try and figure stuff out. And think of 8.5 billion people figuring stuff out differently. And then finding little groups of people who agree with them, and or big groups, and therefore they're the only right ones, and the other guys, they're wrong. This is a very difficult situation in our world, because when we do that, then we have intense willingness to engage and maintain the value that we set on the things that we believe have to be true. It holds us in a position, whatever that position is, because we have determined, yes, but activated in an action within us, constantly reactivating and making firmer a way of seeing things. To move beyond this framework, while still able to use the framework to some degree, but we have to stretch it out a lot so that we could be open a little bit more, will make us vulnerable. It's just one of the things that happen. We are trained to fill in a gap that relates to some form of vulnerability. Find a reason why we have to fill that gap in. And basically the reason is reflexive, because we need to protect whatever we think we have that helps us to be more comfortable in life, or to comfort ourselves in lives. And this is a dilemma from my point of view. But it's something we have to keep. As we grow bit by bit, some things play out. Things play out in a kind of funny way. We engage with thinking in a certain way, and one day we go for a walk. We do whatever we do. And suddenly we're wondering about something else, some other thing that's slightly different than what we are protecting within our own purview, our own way of seeing things. And that implies that a process of thinking may be an option. Now, what does that mean, though? Listening to what I'm saying here, it means that an idea comes up in your mind, this brain thing. We call anything in there that's mine and mind. So an idea comes up that's slightly different than what you know has to be true from your perspective. It's disturbing. There's an automatic within you that actually says to you, oh, that can't be true, or what, or I need to have a reaction here, but the reaction has already occurred. Reactions are very quick. and they come out of you as this idea, whatever it is that presents itself, demands a reflex reaction in you to it. If it's not too far off, you might say, oh, okay. Not necessarily, I don't necessarily believe that, but I wonder why it came into my head. You'll at least ask that question, hopefully. That's kind of the first entry into beginning to understand that your relationship with your personality is just a bunch of energy. And you're used to using some activity, some ways of engaging, and you follow those usable things reflexively. And you honor them by doing that, and you build them stronger. If you begin to have, let's say, we call them insights or these ideas that might pop into your mind, and you become curious about them, because you're leaving an opening for more begin to come into your mind, and you start a process that is sometimes called reasoning or emotional reasoning, because you're saying, but this idea, what about this idea versus that idea? And automatically, since you're trained that way, you will choose one, and you will choose primarily the one you believe you have to defend more. And you will do that logistically, very logically, and strategically, automatically. So each and every one of us have aspects within our experience that we, or ways of thinking that we label ours. This is the way I need to be spiritual. This is the way I need to be protective of what I believe must be true, because it has to be true if I believe it. Not necessarily. A real scientific perspective, which, by the way, we're in and out of from time to time, a real scientific perspective is you come up with an idea and you try to see whether it might be true. There's an option that it may not be true. It's an old system that came out of Greek philosophy. And there's some legitimacy in it based on the fact that we are emotionally witted. We tend to think we're highly charged mentally. We hold the mind plane, a mental structure that is universal in nature, from linking with us by the execution of an expression that is reminiscent of how we normally interact, because that's what we do. We're habitual in our natures. I never said that that was negative. I just said this is what we do. You can check that out for yourself. Don't believe me. Start becoming aware of how you function. If you get intense, that intensity, it lies within you to be used by you. Certainly under certain conditions, based on an aspect of how you value you. Think about that one for a minute. Everyone has it. Where do you use it? you often use it when you feel vulnerable. For example, if someone attacks you verbally, and you don't see why they are, but they do, they see why they are, and they're so used to doing it, they just do it automatically. They don't see it. But your defenses escalate and engage backwards, back into that, protecting your framework. In that case, you are loving you. Same as the other person is loving them. From their perspective, they have to be validated by what they do. From your perspective, you have to be validated by what you do. The strange thing about this is we have a kind of noticing that we can be involved with. We can attempt to observe ourselves as long as we feel reasonably comfortable doing that. As soon as it hits the point of needing to protect you, that changes everything. You bring all that you've created, all the methodology you've created, into play, because it is assumed by us that we are being attacked, and we're not. We could be, but normally others have different ideas. I think I've talked about this before, and it's not an easy subject. While we're in that mode, we cannot perceive well higher states. We only can relate to beliefs. In our world, we are constantly engaging with beliefs versus wondering about something broader than what we already believe has to be true. This is very difficult all over the world. It's cultural, it's national, it's familial, it's singular, independent individual doing their thing. And with all due respect, this holds us in the place where we can't move and open beyond what we believe has to be true. This is very difficult for us because that is legitimate. We have to engage inside ourselves with what we believe is of value for whatever reason, until we understand a little bit beyond that in our own self. And this is very difficult for us all. So yes, the intellect can hold you back. It's an emotional-based framework. You memorize things. You utilize physical constructions that make you feel confident about how you act out versus how other people act out. It's how it is. It's just the way it works. If you had a degree in 1910, you still have those ideas in your mind that you learned in 1910. They affect you because they were indented into the way things need to be, unless you have kept up with the literature of your particular interests. Even then, it's very similar to a personality. You will be affected by what was said in 1910. It's natural. So look back in 1980. It's a number of decades ago. And you got your information. Then you will be affected by that. In 1990, same thing. 2010. Oh, getting closer. You are still affected by that. Because your belief is in you and how you must function to be happy with you and have others happy with you as well. So your ways of interacting with others, your process of your version of reflex reaction, intellectually stimulated, emotionally based, enables you to consider that there is a direct possibility to your great wonderfulness, which means you understand and know everything to be true as you think it is, and it is not. If you come upon this on your own, and you don't beat yourself up for it, that's more emotion to use to hold you in a position. You say, my goodness, wow, it must be that everyone is like this. There is a vulnerability that can occur in you that opens a little bit, a tiny pause in the flag bearer of your engagement with you. This is very difficult for people to make sense of, because we're all flag bearers, kind of, when you look at it that way. That's why it's so important to recognize that our versions of engaging with higher states are related to our capacity to allow those higher states to help us to understand beyond what we understand now. It's not meant, from my perspective, that if you engage with higher states, you're not superior to others. That's personality nonsense. That's what we're trained to think, and we will think that way. It's more like, how can you help? And most of us will do what we can, and in some cases, not be able to do more than we can. It's the nature of a relationship with others. And others have a relationship with you. So it isn't about talking people into things. It's the ability to allow an increase to occur energetically in a personality. Because personality is only energy utilized in certain places more often, so that it creates a kind of version of how a human being might be. You and I, whoever it may be. But that can be broader. And energy can be affected by energy. If you think that one through, then a higher state flow can come in to help you move beyond what you believe already within you as a spiritual person, so that you can become more open to a higher state for the purpose of helping others to do the same thing. we do the best we can with that. And sometimes it's a real curiosity as you begin to become more aware of the energy that's flowing and interacting with you and how you use it for your own benefit, meaning to construct and reconstruct your framework and defend it the way it is, relatively speaking, being the parent, of course, still being young, and being the parent like your parents were the parent to you, or what you believe that parental background should, what you can take from it to be you, and you miss it because you can't do anything else but miss it. You're not allowing yourself to do that because definitions are really strong. You must be like this or like that. Or sometimes like this and sometimes like that. I'm talking about a parental background here. But whoever is labeled, one should, the one you label that is looking after you, or the ones who are looking after you. And they stick. And you miss it. You're not bad because you miss it. And you're not good because you got it. You're just doing what people normally do. And when you judge other people for doing that same thing, it is true that they are. But so are you. You are trying to be the parent of others. And it's not helpful to you because you stiffen up the levels of engagement that you can be a part of with higher states. It's not the power that you have in you. It's the ability to engage with energy for the helping of others. It doesn't happen through the mouth. What we're having is conversations. It happens through transmission. Transmission isn't a part of great transmission there for a purpose relative to you. It's more, you stay out of the way when that transmission from a higher state can operate through you for a purpose that is more real than what you can come up with for another. We're not able to come up with a perfect way of helping another to become more able as a multi-dimensional being, one could say. We already are a multi-dimensional being, physical, emotional, and what we call mental. And personality engagement, a shift into another state, is an added feature. And that feature does show you things that are really not so often easy to look at. But it doesn't want to hurt you. It wants to help you to see, help you to be a seer and an understander or a compassionate being with respect to how you see others. It's very difficult because compassion is not a defined piece. It's an internal expression. Same as loving. It's not a defined thing. It's an experience. And this is not so simple because our definitions get really blown away as we experience some of these things. That's a good thing. So it expands our definitions, helps us understand a little bit more. But then we also are affected by the old definitions because that's part of the growing process. I think I've touched on the core of this. Does the intellect tend to get in the way, or is it helpful? I think, honestly, when you really look at it, it's not only the intellect, it's the whole willingness on our part to go beyond the personalized will into an understanding, one part of it, a willingness to be softer in our need to emphasize how we think things need to be, and to understand that this is not so simple for us, for anybody, because we are trained critics, and that is supposed to be something special. As a trained perceiver, you might notice some of the attributes that you really put down in others. You might notice them in yourself. So you contribute those things to our species, if you think of it as an energetic form. Energetic form. It's really hard to picture 8.5 billion people as an energetic form. So use a snail. It's the one that I have used. In other words, our progressiveness that includes all of us is fairly slow, but we beam with delight at being more important than everybody else or anybody else, or a nation or a culture or whatever. And in fact, we're just people. And all people are part of how we function in the world. Yeah. All of us. Tell me you've never been angry. Tell me you haven't protected yourself because you know very well there's only your way of seeing things. Tell me you haven't cared for somebody else. Tell me you haven't had pain in relationship to emotion, whatever that may be. You may not want to remember it, but it's there. And it started, wow, really early. And we have bags full of it, loving too. And there is so much to experience beyond what we have while we're busy holding ourselves to a particular place or reference place. And I think that this is all we can do. But there is other things out there and in there. So when you say that the intellect holds us back, our emotions hold us back, how we physically engage, how we target various things as valuable and not valuable. There are things that are valuable and not valuable to us. But we don't understand that we do some of them as well in our own way. Learning about that. moving on from there the best you can, little by little. Little by little is the best you can do, or you'll end up saying that you've succeeded at all of that, and you haven't, and you'll miss that. So I'm saying we in our construction gets in the way, but there's an interesting thing about that. We also, in our versions of engaging, have moments that make better sense to us than what we already think we believe. When you have those moments, don't forget them. But every time you have one of those wondrous moments, you will protect stronger the way you have been and the way you act out. Because obviously it makes sense to do that, because you will think you got to where you are in that experience because of how you were. I look at that from a different point of view. Maybe. And that is maybe an insight showing you how it could be even more different than how you believe it has to be. It's an idea. Ideas are maybe sometimes worth thinking about or considering. Remember, you grow through you, no matter what that looks like. So take a look, see how you are, and don't put you down, but don't put you up. Just watch, observe. No negativity, just learning best you can. Might have a little bit of time. Thank you very much, Greg, for that, or Todd, I'm sorry, for that question. It's really a good one. There is another one. I think I might get some of this in. This is a question because it works a little bit with things, from Chris McLaughlin. She asks, it was down in Nashville, and she asks about the solar plexus that helps simulate the energy. And she asks, would you just speak a little bit more about this subject? So I'll try that. And I wanted to get in Kundalini. Maybe I'll do that next week. The solar plexus seems to coordinate the root and gonad center in the early stages. And those early stages are stages related to life living on these planes. That's a pretty broad statement, but that's what I'm talking about. And energy can move straight up to the top of the head and be focused primarily on you. Any of us. Energy can be focused on the gonad center, move straight to the top of the head, still be focused on you. But as they grow in that way, they cultivate an interaction with the solar plexus, which eventually, as it opens, its tremendous flow that's at the root and gonad center is coordinated and stretches your emotional structure. And then as you grow little by little, it stretches out a little bit more. And your personality is set up because it's already, your personality, energy has come in and you have used it from the root center, gonad center, and the solar plexus, and it moves its momentum, its engagement into the brain and nervous system because you're a sensor. You sense things coming in and you bring it up and you try to make sense of it with the wherewithal, not intelligence, but the information that you have been involved with. That is a kind of intelligence, by the way. I didn't realize that. So it becomes a rudimentary thing, and in our species, that the solar plexus that links up with the heart and brow and the whole engagement with these other centers, and so does the root and gonad, after you reach that stage, because many have not reached that stage. They've engaged with the root center, and that's a powerful thing, and the will center, which is constructing a system so you can broaden the will ultimately and reach into being a being that can coordinate the higher will with yours and let go and engage directly with energy operating through you without interfering with it. So you're not subverting your will, you're blending and fusing your will, and you're fusing that power. And you're fusing in a kind of a way a willingness and an operational construct within you so that you can be affected and have energy flow through you for a higher spiritual purpose, which really basically turns out to be helping others to grow in a way differently than what we have been able to do so far. This is complicated in a personality because it increases the activity of your brow or your brain and nervous system, and it stimulates an innate curiosity to move beyond where you are now. It also, at the lower levels, stimulates the need to protect where you are now because you can't handle growing broader than that power orientation. In other words, the importance of an individual versus other individuals. This is tough for us because this is the heartbeat of our notions about people, about values of individuals, about knowledge that other individuals have about what they can do and what they can't do. And this is difficult for us because in our species, or around our species, higher state beings don't want to be known by us because we will turn that into, we need proof that they're in higher state because we can't perceive anything other than through our own eyes. And they don't want to be pulled into being in the lower states more often than they need to be because it affects them. It will affect their solar plexus, their structure, draw them down into these planes more often than they need to be. When I say that, I mean the way they act, the way they engage, the way they relate to other people. So this is a very difficult thing in our whole process of growing. And one of the basic reasons why our movement movement towards spiritual growth is so connected with writing material, engaging, and your notoriety has to be really strong to be of any value. And there's always this strategy of becoming more important than somebody else in the background of our engagement with being important as an adult who's similar to our parental background. It's incessant, but it's also something that can be noted and softened at least a little bit. And that in itself helps you to be able to soften down a speck. And that will, then you can actually be a little bit more trusted with that stronger, more gentling flow that can operate into you, into that framework that you've constructed and that we call personality. Because it begins to change somewhat. And it will have moments of outbursts, moments of being affected by others as well, as you begin to grow. And we won't get into that because I think we're going to end up meditating right now. Thank you so much for these questions. We always need more questions, and they are very fascinating, some of them very enjoyable. I'll get around to all of the questions that you've ever put in. Some of them, I apologize, I've missed a couple probably over the years, and if I can ever find them, we try to answer every one of them. So please take care of yourselves. And now we're going to meditate. Marlene will set up some music for us.
रत्नैः कल्पितमासनं हिमजलैः स्नानं च दिव्याम्बरम् नानारत्नविभूषितं मृगमदामोदाङ्कितं चन्दनम् जाति चंपक बिल्ब पत्र रचितम् पुष्पं च धूपं तथा दीपं देवदयानिधे पशुपते हृत्कल्पितं गृह्यताम्। सौवर्णेन नवरत्नखण्डरचिते पात्रे घृतं पायसम् भक्ष्यं पञ्चविधं पयोदधियुतं रम्भाफलं पानकम् शाकानामयतं जलं रुचिकरं कर्पूरखण्डोज्ज्वलम् ताम्बूलं मनसा मया विरचितं भक्त्या प्रभो स्वीकुरु। छत्रं चामरयोर्युगं व्यजनकं चादर्शकं निर्मलम् वीणाभैरिमृदङ्गकोहलकला गीतं च नृत्यं तथा साष्टाङ्गं प्रणतिः स्तुतिर्बहुविधा एतत् समस्तं मया संकल्पेन समर्पितं तव विभो पूजां ग्रहाण प्रभो। आत्मा त्वं गिरिजामते सहचराः प्राणाः शरीरं ग्रहम् पूजा ते विषयोपभोगरचना निद्रा समाधिस्थितिः सञ्चारः पतियोः प्रदक्षिणविधि स्तोत्राणि सर्वा गिरो यत् कर्म करोमि तत् अखिलम् शम्भो तवाराधनम्। करचरणकृतं वा कायजं कर्मजं वा श्रवणनयनजं वा मानसं वापराधम् विहितमविहितं वा सर्वमेतच्छमस्व। जय जय करुणाब्धे श्री महादेव शम्भो। न तातो न माता न बन्धुर्न दाता न पुत्रो न पुत्री न भृत्यो न भर्ता न जाया न वेद्या न वृत्तिर्ममैव गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि भवाब्धावपारे महादुःखभीरो प्रपात प्रकामी प्रलोभी प्रमत्ता कुसंसारपाश प्रबद्धः सदाहम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि न जानामि दानं न च ध्यानयोगम् न जानामि तन्त्रं न च स्तोत्रमन्त्रम् न जानामि पूजां न च न्यासयोगम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि न जानामि पुण्यं न जानामि तीर्थम् न जानामि मुक्तिं लयं वा कदाचित् न जानामि भक्तिं व्रतं वापि माता गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि कुकर्मी कुसङ्गी कुबुद्धि कुदास कुलाचारहीन कदाचारलीन कुदृष्टि कुवाक्य प्रबन्ध सदाहम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी प्रजेशं रमेशं महेशं सुरेशं दिनेशं निशीथेश्वरं वा कदाचित् न जानामि चान्यत् सदाहं शरण्ये गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी विवादे विषादे प्रमादे प्रवासे जले चानले पर्वते शत्रुमध्ये अरण्ये शरण्ये सदा मां प्रपाहि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी अनाथो दरिद्रो जरारोगयुक्तो महाक्षीणदीन सदा जाड्यवक्त्रा विपत्तो प्रविष्ट प्रणष्ट सदाहं गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहं नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहं नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् अद्वैतमानन्द रूपं अरूपम् अद्वैतमानन्द रूपं अरूपम् ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मस्वरूपोऽहं ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मस्वरूपोऽहं चिदोऽहं चिदोऽहं सच्चिदानन्दोऽहं चिदोऽहं चिदोऽहं सच्चिदानन्दोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहं नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं मनोबुद्ध्यहङ्कार चित्तानि नाहं न च श्रोत्रजिह्वे न च घ्राणनेत्रे न च व्योमभूमिर्न तेजो न वायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न च प्राणसंज्ञो न वै पञ्चवायु न वा सप्तधातु न वा पञ्चकोश न वाक्पाणिपादं न चोपस्तपायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न मे द्वेषरागो न मे लोभमोहो मदोर्नैव मे नैव मात्सर्यभावः न धर्मो न चार्थो न कामो न मोक्षः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न पुण्यं न पापं न सौख्यं न दुःखं न मन्त्रो न तीर्थं न वेदा न यज्ञ अहं भोजनं नैव भोज्यं न भोक्ता चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न मृत्युर्न शङ्का न मे जातिभेदः पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बन्धुर्न मित्रं गुरुर्नैव शिष्यः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् निर्विकल्पो निराकाररूपो विभूत्वाच्च सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां न च सङ्गतं नैव मुक्तिर्न मेया चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम्
ब्रह्ममुरारिसुरार्चितलिङ्गं निर्मलभासितशोभितलिङ्गम् जन्मजदुःखविनाशकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् देवमुनि प्रवरार्चितलिङ्गम् कामदहन करुणाकरलिङ्गम् रावणदर्पविनाशनलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् सर्वसुगन्धिसुलेपितलिङ्गम् बुद्धिविवर्धनकारणलिङ्गम् सिद्धसुरासुरवन्दितलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् कनकमहामणिभूषितलिङ्गम् फणिपतिवेष्टितशोभितलिङ्गम् दक्षसुयज्ञविनाशकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् कुङ्कुमचन्दनलेपितलिङ्गम् पङ्कजहार सुशोभितलिङ्गम् सञ्चितपापविनाशकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् देवगणार्चितसेवितलिङ्गम् भावैर्भक्तिभिरेव च लिङ्गम् दिनकरकोटिप्रभाकरलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् अष्टदलोपरिवेष्टितलिङ्गम् सर्वसमोद्भवकारणलिङ्गम् अष्टतरेत्रविनाशकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् सुरगुरुसुरवरपूजितलिङ्गम् सुरवनपुष्पसदार्चितलिङ्गम् परमपदं परमात्मकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम्
just begin to do the balancing and grounding.